viral hip-hop news. Subscribe right now.
What's good and what up? It's your brother SamAnt here at Viral Hip-Hop News. Do me a favor, family, before we get started with the content. Y'all know what to do. Go up top and hit that like button. Alright, Charlamagne, the God, man, he's had a hell of a month. We all know the allegations that have came out. As of late, Jessica Reid, the alleged victim of a rape that happened 17 years ago in South Carolina, went on the Star Report a little over a month ago and made claim that Charlamagne the God, yes, was the man that raped her on that night 17 years ago in South Carolina. So for those of you who don't know, Charlamagne the God wrote a book, Black Privileged. In this book, he talked about a situation, something that he regretted, throwing a party for his cousin who was going to Penn State University on a scholarship, had young girls there for the high school boys going into college, bought alcohol for the event. Make a long story short, kids got drunk. Something allegedly happened to the young woman, Jessica Reid, at the time. Charlamagne, feeling responsible for it, hearing and getting wind of what happened, went to the police station, cooperated fully after doing extensive investigation, DNA testing, DNA analysis, etc., which he has official documents on. It was concluded that Charlamagne the God was not in fact guilty of the charges of rape. This happened 17 years ago. He writes the book, Breakfast Club, HBO series, Brilliant Idiot podcast. The brother's winning right now, although he wins with a style very brash, very taboo to a lot of women because he says some very raunchy things. So you can understand why people would not like him and how this situation, these allegations, could balloon into something much bigger. Oh God, when he first heard it over at Hip Hop News Uncensored, he came to me and said, "Yo, Ant, this may be something serious. Pay attention to this." And I kind of threw it under the rug. I'm reading his book. I read the book. So I was like, all right, now he talked about this in the book. It is what it is. And then obviously the power of the internet, social media, and what we have out here, just having our voice, it ballooned into something much more. Now, Bossip today, having said all that, exclusively obtained the official police documents that the state, neither Charlamagne's DNA nor sperm were found after he voluntarily agreed to submit both semen and blood samples to the police for comparison to the alleged victim, Jessica Reid. Now, there were reports going on and on throughout the last 3 weeks saying that the documents were, we can't wait for the documents to come out. Charlamagne's stories, all the stories that he had were definitely kind of contradicting each other. He talked on DJ Academics. He talked about Spanish Fly. He threw around the word rape very loosely. A lot of people were tying a lot of stories together and painting a picture of this man to make him look really negative and really bad. You never really heard anything from Charlamagne the God. He said something on the Breakfast Club today saying that these documents would be out today, and I'm going to drop them right here. We have DNA evidence. We have affidavits from the woman that voluntarily took Spanish Fly with him. We have affidavits and statements from the district attorneys in the court from South Carolina. I'm going to drop all that information on the screen right now so you guys can follow along and read extensively. Feel free to pause at any moment so that you can look over the information, screenshot it yourself, whatever you have to do. If you're paying attention to the situation, you objectively care whether he did it or not, pay attention to the content and the information that I'm about to show right now, and you can go through it. Now, right now, I'm going to show South Carolina Law Enforcement Division Forensic Services Laboratory Report. Y'all see that up there right now. Adult sexual assault kit, blood, saliva, smears, vaginal swab, oral swab, etc., etc. Y'all see that on the screen. Now, because no traces of blood or saliva were found on Jessica, there was the quote-unquote no analysis performed on either party. Now, the police also have on record that Charlamagne spoke to them about the case voluntarily without a warrant or a lawyer present and fully agreed to cooperate with the investigation. Now, they also have those documents up there right now. I'll put that on the screen right there. Y'all see location, Seville Medical Center, underneath Detention Sergeant Lee. All the information right there. Y'all make sure y'all can screenshot that and take a look at that as well. Now, this page is a certified letter coming up right now explaining that the woman in question of the Spanish Fly incident that he dropped on the Brilliant Idiots, by now we all have heard the audio of what he said with Andy and himself talking about giving the girl Spanish fly. A lot of people kind of tied that together with the rape allegation 17 years ago in South Carolina. That wasn't being the case, but that being said, it was together. I'm going to read a little bit of this declaration. I, Lone Dane, declare as follows. I am legal counsel to Leonard McKelvey, P.K.A. Charlemagne the God. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein, and if called to testify, I could with completely testify thereto under oath. On July 23rd, 2018, I reached out by phone to speak with the woman who was referenced by Mr. McKelvey in the Brilliant Idiots podcast with Andrew Schultz, dated September 9th, 2015. The podcast. Prior to the conversation, this individual was contacted by Mr. McKelvey's manager to ensure she would be willing to speak with me freely. She did not object. Now, at the outset of the call, I asked her if she had been following the recent news regarding Mr. McKelvey, to which she replied yes. I then asked if there were any truth to the podcast, and she began providing me details of the evening described on the podcast as her interactions with Mr. McKelvey. Following the call, I prepared a sworn declaration based upon the information disclosed during the call and sent it her way for review. She reviewed the declaration and provided minimal changes, which were then incorporated. She also asked that her name be kept out of the media and confidential. You can obviously understand that. After acknowledging that the revised declaration was accurate, she signed the document and returned it to me. I then redacted the declaration solely to remove her name. Attached hereto as Exhibit 1 is a true and correct copy of the declaration. At no time did I or anyone else offer any consideration in exchange for the declaration, nor did she request any consideration. I did offer to reimburse her for her out-of-pocket FedEx costs to print and fax the declaration and FedEx delivery costs, both of which she declined. I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of California and the United States that the foregoing is true and correct. We see it right there, big and bold on the screen. I will read that as well for the people who won't take the time to read it themselves so y'all can clearly understand what's going on. I am over the age of 18, and the following facts are my personal knowledge. I make this statement of my own free will within support of Leonard McKelvey, P.K.A. Charlemagne the God, and I have neither asked for, been offered, nor received any consideration for my statement, nor will I in the future ask for or accept my consideration for this statement. The only thing I request in order to protect my own privacy is that my name be redacted from any version of the declaration provided to the media, and that my name be kept private unless I otherwise consent in writing. I am the individual who is referenced by Mr. McKelvey in the Brilliant Idiots podcast with Andrew Schultz, dated September 9, 2015. I understand that various media sources and others are attempting to misrepresent what is said in that podcast and was actually happening between myself and Mr. McKelvey. I'll make this declaration for the purpose of setting the record straight to clear my name and reputation, and at the end, once and for all, false statements being spread about Mr. McKelvey. To be clear, Mr. McKelvey and I had a personal, intimate relationship over 15 years ago. On one occasion, we purchased and consumed an aphrodisiac called Spanish fly along with alcohol, but we did so willingly and consensually. At no time did Mr. McKelvey ever engage in any conduct toward me to which I did not consent and which I was not willing to participate, nor was I ever so impaired in his presence to the extent that I did not know what I was doing or to which I lost my ability to consent. Despite others' interpretation of what was said in that podcast, I was never incoherent and did not experience any periods of blackout when we were together. I've always respected Mr. McKelvey as a decent and good person, and I believe he has always treated me with similar respect. I declare under penalty of perjury, under the laws of the United States of America, that the foregoing is true and correct. And we see the notary right down there. So this is clear as can be. We all know and we all heard the allegations of the Spanish fly. Once the allegations of the rape case came back out from 17 years ago, there was a pile of evidence coming on against Charlemagne the God. A lot of it coming, I personally believe it was karma. He said a lot of things that really pissed people off, and it seemed as though he was contrite, and it seems as though these last 3 weeks or this month or so has really been a real pain in his ass and something really serious, and he sees the power of social media. Me and Ogar reported yesterday on the Uncensored Truth podcast that he has a possibility of losing his new HBO show, The Gray Area, because they have to look further in depth involving the situations that have came out through social media, through the internet, etc., etc. Very, very serious allegations. He seemed very contrite and sincere in his apologies and that. I'll maybe drop a little bit of that toward the back end of this content, but y'all let me know what you think. You have all the evidence right here. I dropped all of the paperwork that was provided courtesy of Bossip. If you want to see them in full, if this video isn't long enough for you, please go to hiphopun.com. That link will be in the description box, courtesy of Hip Hop News Uncensored's own, my brother, Oh God. He has all of the detailed information and documents fully over there, like I said, in detail for you guys to take your time and look over. If you are an objective listener right now who cares about the facts, who cares about justice, who cares about the well-being of women, rape, and the serious allegations going on, all we cared about right here at Viral Hip Hop News Uncensored, and our podcast, the Uncensored Truth Podcast, was the truth, the objective truth, and nothing but the truth. We got rained over and over and over again for what it seemed as though we were kind of dick riding or trying to be on Charlemagne's side, a guilty man's side, and that wasn't the case. We seen a brother who, although has made some fucking mistakes out here, as we all have, and although have made some sophomorish comments that don't reflect our own, he did not deserve to be fired from that position. He did not deserve to lose his chair in the Breakfast Club. A lot of you haters out there listen to the Breakfast Club solely to hate on Charlamagne the God. What the fuck would you do if he was not there? It was just a lot of negative attention that should go to show you the power of social media, the power of our voice, and the power of negativity, because it screams way louder than positivity, and it almost got this man terminated from his jobs. Now, I don't think this is going to slow down the naysayers, the people who hate on Charlamagne the God, the people who are going to call him racist are going to continue to call him racist, are going to call me a rapist, are going to call Oh God a racist. Anybody who takes this man's quote-unquote side, they're going to have negative responses to. I hope that right now, the people who in the middle, the people who objectively cared about this situation can now see the documents for what they are and understand the facts and see that, yeah, maybe although you may not like him personally, he is not a man of rape. Let's stop calling him that. It's only fair. That word is a very strong, very serious word and should not be thrown around as loosely as it has been from Charlamagne the God and from anybody. And I think we all have a lesson that we've learned in this situation. Hopefully we can move forward. Y'all leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think of this detailed information provided to y'all courtesy of our Hip Hop News, as well as Charlamagne the God. In the description box, you'll also see links to our Twitter homepage, brand new website, theuncensoredtruthpodcast.com, sponsored by Hip Hop News Uncensored's own Oh God and myself, SamAnt, right here of our Hip Hop News, always dropping content on the daily, trying to be the hottest podcast right here on the internet. You already know, self-made, self-owned, self-persevered. We appreciate each and every one of y'all support. Always trying to keep it raw, real cut here of our Hip Hop News. Until next time, until next story, I sincerely appreciate each and every one of y'all, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.
Got something I want to say. I haven't said anything because I was waiting for more information to come out, and it's been a nutty 3 weeks, and I've learned a lot about the weight my words have, and I've been reminded about the responsibility I have to watch the way I talk about issues of sexual assault. And new files from my dismissed assault case in South Carolina were just released. I think they came out yesterday. And I hope this quashes whatever misconceptions people might have about the case. The documents show that I did everything in my power to fully cooperate with authorities before this case was ultimately dismissed. And to be honest with you, the past 3 weeks has really made me regret, helping to create an environment that allowed something like this to take place. Like, I'm going to forever regret that, but I cannot take responsibility for a crime that I did not commit. But most importantly, I am praying for healing for the victim, okay? And I am committed to using my platform that God has blessed me with to do as much good as I possibly can.
Come on, baby, I want you to work right now. Light it up, yeah. When you got that fire and you burn it.